Our oceans, covering most of our planet, are teeming with life. They provide us with food, regulate our climate, and generate the air we breathe. However, we are facing a silent crisis beneath the waves: overfishing. Overfishing occurs when we extract fish faster than they can replenish. This unsustainable practice threatens marine life and our well-being. Our relationship with the ocean must change. We can no longer treat it as an inexhaustible resource. We must act now to protect our oceans for future generations. The most direct impact of overfishing is the depletion of fish populations. This means that the fish we once took for granted are now becoming scarce, and the once thriving fishing communities are facing unprecedented challenges. Many species that were once abundant are now struggling to survive. The delicate balance of marine life is being thrown off, leading to a cascade of negative effects throughout the ecosystem. This decline disrupts the delicate balance of the entire marine ecosystem. Coral reefs, which are vital to marine biodiversity, are dying off, and the intricate food chains that sustain ocean life are breaking down. According to the United Nations, over 90% of the world's fish stocks are either fully exploited or overfished. This alarming statistic highlights the urgent need for sustainable fishing practices and better management of our ocean resources. This statistic is a stark reminder of the immense pressure we are putting on our oceans. The overexploitation of fish stocks is not just an environmental issue, it has profound economic and social implications as well. Imagine a world where our oceans are empty, devoid of the vibrant life they once held. The loss of marine life would not only affect the beauty of our oceans, but also the health of our planet. This depletion is not just a statistic, it represents a loss of biodiversity, a loss of livelihoods, and a loss of cultural heritage for many coastal communities that have relied on fishing for generations, and a loss of a vital food source for millions. Fish are a primary source of protein for many people around the world, and their decline threatens food security in numerous regions. We must acknowledge that fish are not just commodities. They are living creatures that play an essential role in the marine ecosystem. They contribute to the health of coral reefs, control algae growth, and provide food for other marine animals. If we continue on this unsustainable path, we risk losing these valuable resources forever. It is crucial that we take immediate action to implement sustainable fishing practices, protect marine habitats, and ensure the long-term health of our oceans for future generations. Overfishing is a global issue, but some regions are more affected than others. Southeast Asia, West Africa, and parts of South America are particularly vulnerable. In these areas, the removal of large quantities of fish has profound impacts on their economies, food security, and marine biodiversity. In West Africa, for example, overfishing has led to a significant decline in fish stocks. This region relies heavily on fish as a primary source of protein, and the depletion of fish populations threatens food security for millions of people. Statistics show that in some West African countries, fish constitutes up to 50% of animal protein intake. The decline in fish stocks forces communities to turn to less sustainable and more expensive food sources, exacerbating poverty and malnutrition. In parts of South America, overfishing has similar consequences. Countries like Peru and Chile, which have some of the world's richest fishing grounds, are experiencing declines in fish populations. This impacts not only local fishermen, but also the larger economy, as fish exports are a significant source of revenue. Southeast Asia is another region heavily impacted by overfishing. Countries like Indonesia and the Philippines are seeing their marine biodiversity decline. This not only affects the environment, but also the livelihoods of millions who depend on fishing for their income. The loss of marine biodiversity in these regions can lead to the collapse of entire ecosystems. Coral reefs, which are vital for the health of the ocean, are particularly at risk. Overfishing disrupts the balance of marine life, leading to the degradation of these critical habitats. The economic impact is also significant. In many of these countries, fishing is a major industry. The decline in fish stocks leads to job losses and reduced income for coastal communities. This in turn affects the overall economy, as fishing-related activities contribute to a substantial portion of GDP. Addressing overfishing in these regions requires a concerted effort. Conservation initiatives, sustainable fishing practices, and international cooperation are essential to restore fish populations and protect marine biodiversity. By doing so, we can ensure the long-term health of our oceans and the well-being of the communities that depend on them. This example highlights the interconnectedness of marine life and the importance of protecting the entire ecosystem, not just individual species. Conservation efforts must focus on maintaining this balance to ensure the survival of our oceans and the communities that rely on them. Section 4. Economic and social consequences, a ripple effect. The consequences of overfishing extend far beyond the ocean's surface, creating a ripple effect that impacts communities and economies worldwide. The delicate balance of marine ecosystems is disrupted, leading to a cascade of effects that touch every aspect of life in coastal regions. Millions of people depend on fishing for their livelihoods. These individuals, often living in small, tight-knit communities, have built their lives around the sea, passing down traditions and skills through generations. Coastal communities that have relied on fishing for generations are facing dwindling catches, forcing them to find alternative sources of income. This shift can be incredibly challenging, as many lack the resources or opportunities to transition to new industries. This economic hardship can lead to poverty, displacement, and social unrest. Families may be torn apart as members leave in search of work, and the social fabric of these communities can begin to fray. It's not just about the fish, it's about the people, the communities, and the cultures that depend on them. The loss of fishing as a way of life can erode cultural identities and traditions that have been maintained for centuries. Furthermore, the decline in fish stocks can lead to higher prices for seafood, making it less accessible to those who rely on it as a primary source of protein. This can have a significant impact on nutrition, particularly in regions where alternative protein sources are scarce. This can exacerbate food security issues, particularly in developing countries. Malnutrition and hunger can become more prevalent, affecting the health and well-being of entire communities. We must find ways to manage our fisheries sustainably, ensuring that they can continue to provide food and livelihoods for future generations. By adopting sustainable practices, we can help restore balance to marine ecosystems and protect the communities that depend on them. Section 5. The scourge of illegal fishing, a crime against nature. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing is a major contributor to the overfishing crisis. It undermines conservation efforts and robs legitimate fishers of their livelihoods. IUU fishing refers to fishing activities that are conducted in violation of national or international laws and regulations. It includes fishing without a license, exceeding catch limits, using prohibited gear, and fishing in protected areas. This illicit trade not only depletes fish stocks but also damages marine habitats and threatens the livelihoods of honest fishers. Imagine a world where laws are disregarded and the ocean is plundered without consequence. This is the reality of IUU fishing. Combating IUU fishing requires international cooperation, strong enforcement, and innovative technologies to track and monitor fishing vessels. We must work together to close the net on this criminal activity and protect our oceans. Section 6. Charting a sustainable course. Hope for the future. While the challenges of overfishing are significant, there is still hope for the future. We can turn the tide by embracing sustainable fishing practices and creating marine protected areas. Sustainable fishing means taking only what the ocean can replenish and respecting seasonal closures. Marine protected areas provide safe havens for marine life to recover and thrive. The future of our oceans depends on the choices we make today. Together, we can make a difference. If you care about our oceans and want to stay informed, please subscribe to our channel. Pause 3S. Section 7. Cultural and economic challenges in Japan. Despite global efforts to protect our oceans, certain cultural and economic factors can complicate this mission. In Japan, a nation with a deep-rooted tradition of seafood consumption, awareness about overfishing is often overshadowed by cultural practices and economic needs. Japan's history and cuisine are intricately linked with the ocean. From sushi to sashimi, seafood is a staple in the Japanese diet. This cultural affinity for seafood has led to a high demand for fish, sometimes at the expense of sustainable practices. Additionally, the fishing industry is a significant part of Japan's economy, providing jobs and supporting local communities. However, this reliance on the ocean's resources has severe consequences. Overfishing depletes fish populations, disrupts marine ecosystems, and threatens the biodiversity that sustains life underwater. The impact is not just local but global, as Japan is one of the world's largest consumers of seafood. Understanding these cultural and economic factors is crucial in addressing the issue of overfishing in Japan. It requires a delicate balance of respecting traditions while promoting sustainable practices. Education and awareness campaigns can play a pivotal role in changing perceptions and encouraging more responsible consumption. If you care about the future of our oceans and want to stay informed, please subscribe to our channel.